Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Winning Mondays. I'm glad to see everyone here. And for those who don't know me, my name is Mariah. I'm the Regional Training Coordinator. And this is my first time hosting one of these Winning Mondays, so I really appreciate your support. Yeah, I want to welcome also any guests we have with us. Yeah. And, I spent the weekend thinking about this meeting today, and I would like to do something a little bit different. Yeah, I have this phrase. I want to ask everyone here to really we're going to show up for each other today. And what I mean by that is how we're going to do that is we're going to turn on our videos. So I want to invite everyone to turn on your video and just be present, just to be engaged with today's meeting. I don't know if you remember last week I was sharing about the family reunion meeting. And I heard a talk by Sean Ackor, and he shared an amazing research, about the hill study, right? So he was saying that if you take a person, right, and you stand in front of a hill and you look at how tall it is, it will look a certain height, right? But if you take that same person and you have a group of people with you, it will literally look shorter. And he said it's like actually your brain is having this experience. So we can actually take this practically into our own lives, that any challenge we have, if we have a group of people with us, we have that support, it will literally look more manageable. We will be able to achieve that goal faster, easier. So, I know all of us here, right? Everyone here has goals, right? They have things they're trying to achieve. They have their mountain, whatever, commission income you're rooting for this year. But let's show up for each other. Let's be together as a family. We are a family, KW. One of our belief systems, right, at KW is teams, right? Together, everyone achieves more. So I want to encourage everyone, let's turn on your gallery view. I just want to invite everyone, maybe some of you didn't have time to put your makeup, it's fine. You can use the Zoom makeup filter, you can put eyebrows, lipstick, or you can even put, if it's really bad, you can put the sunglasses. Can I get some people to put on their videos? And okay, awesome, I love it. Everyone who's there, can you just wave? Let's just wave at each other and smile at each other. Awesome, Richmond, Agnes. I see people, Sebastian, awesome, I love this, Nelly. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I know later some of you might be going for trainings, whatever. I would just, whatever you're going for today, if you're going for a meeting, some online meeting, nowadays we're still in this lockdown. We don't see each other that often, right? But when we come together in these kind of online meetings, let's turn on our video. Let's just smile at each other, be there, so we don't feel like we're so alone. We have whatever, 60 people in this call. Imagine you see 60 people around you. You'll feel like, wow. I like Charles. Charles got a pirate look going on. That's awesome. And as we are there for each other, as we show up for other people, they will also show up for us, and we can really encourage one another. It's awesome. Hi, Francis. See everyone there. Okay, cool. So today we have a special speaker with us. You probably know him. Your favorite CEO, Jonathan Lee. Welcome, Jonathan Lee. Today we're going to be talking about prioritize your time to maximize your productivity. So hi, welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, hi. It's good to see everyone's faces. Thank you, Mariah, for giving us the opportunity to kind of show up and be with each other virtually, but in a more engaging way. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. So, before we start getting right into the topic, I have some polls prepared. So we're going to take a poll later, maybe halfway through, but we have a warm-up poll first. So just to get everyone engaged, we want to hear people's opinions about stuff. So these polls are completely anonymous, okay? So just be honest, okay? You just share the truth of whatever it is. So here's the first one. I would like to ask everyone if you could please answer this. What time did you wake up this morning? Was it very early, before 6 a.m., 6:30, 7, 7:30? Maybe you didn't wake up yet. Never mind, just comment and give your answer. Great, we're doing well. We got 40% people answering. Let's go, everyone answer. We can get some idea. Okay, 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, last call. Wow, we're getting a lot of people coming in now. Okay, here. All right, let's see the results. All right, Jonathan, what do you think of this? We got 19% of KW before 6 a.m. Wow.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad. Awesome.
Most popular is 6:30 a.m. Very nice.
Right.
Hey, we got a small crowd that are just woke up.
Right. Right.
Thank you for joining us. Even though you just woke up, you came. I know you came just to be here. I know it. Thank you so much for joining us.
So we might need to change our time for training to be at 6 o'clock. That everyone is up so early. So yeah. So you get more things to do after that, right? So yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. So prioritize your time to maximize your productivity. Jonathan, can you tell me why did you want to talk about this topic?
Okay, that's going to be a short question with a long answer. And I ask everyone to be patient. I'm going to tell you a story back in my childhood, right? To give you some perspective, right? And it's not too long ago. I'm very young. I'm still very young, right? So I think in my early age, and I'm talking about the time around when I was 12 or 10 or 12 years old, that range, right? Which was about 5 years ago. Okay, so 10 or 12 years old. I had a different kind of experience compared to my peers. My exposure, my opportunity to learn was a bit different from my peers. And I came from a very small town called Bukit Metajam in Penang, right? And it's on the mainland part of Penang. If you understand Penang as a state, right? The mainland are always not the most preferred place to be in. The islands, like the real Penang, right? The mainland is like, they are like pendatang, I don't know, whatever you call it, but they're like different. It's treated differently one. And I came from that place, and in those times, I was, because some of you may know, I was very involved in the music arena. I wanted to be a professional musician, and I was very young. I joined many musical groups. I joined a symphony orchestra, and I was always the youngest in the group. When we were selected to travel to Australia, to Japan, right? I was always the youngest person there. And being the youngest person, you don't need to talk so much lah, right? And some more you from the small town, some more, right? And everybody from the main place, right? Like I then have to watch and learn. I began to observe, right? And if you understand in the music way of the musicians who want to excel are always the one that spends more time doing what they're supposed to do, which is practicing, which is learning and all that, right? And I began to observe some of these people, there are people that does very well and there are people that struggle. And as I went into professional musician, I got called up to the National Symphony Orchestra at the age of 15. I was being hired to play for concerts, to play for events. I did my first live television show for Astro when I was 15 years old. It's Merdeka concert, the big and I went through all those experiences, right? And I saw, and especially in the National Symphony Orchestra, I was 15 years old, and they were all 30, 40 years old people there. And I began to observe how they behave. And one of the things that I learned from them is that they begin to be very clear and focus what they need to do to achieve the goal. And there's always competition in that. Everybody wants to become the head of the section. Everybody wants to become a principal player. That's where you get positioning, you get higher salary and pay. And I see that a lot. And I had exposure to meet some of the global international musicians, right? And the way they are and the way we are very different. And I ask questions, why they can be like this? Why can they be so good? Right, what's the difference? And from that observation, one of the key things I realized is they treat time very preciously. They spend time with people. So a lot of top musicians, right? They go for things like masterclass. It's just like a privilege. No, you can't pay money to enter a masterclass with Isaac Stern. You can't pay money to enter a masterclass with Itzhak Perlman. You can't pay. You are selected, and they work towards that, right? And they value that time they have with those people, and they try to learn and become better the way they are. And that made me realize, and I look back in my career, and I started real estate when I was 23 years old, which was about 2 months ago, right? 23 years old. So I then realized that time is actually a currency.
Wow.
And I began to understand the value of time. And one of the reasons why I want to select this topic, talk about it is because I think in generally a lot of people, I'm not talking about real estate people, but generally a lot of people do not understand the true value of time.
Okay.
They understand the value of money, and sometimes they put money's valuation more valuable than time. Right, which is why I think that there is a need for conversations and understanding about this. And in my journey with people, I have this famous saying, show me your calendar and I can tell you how likely you can be successful.
Wow.
Or how likely you would be successful, right?
Right.
So that's the reason why I think that this topic is, I think, important to me, because I had an aha in the early 20s where I went into business and I began to see and spend time with business owners who I was serving, and I looked at them, how they spend their time. And I began to realize that time is actually a currency. Time is something that is really very valuable. And sometimes we devalue it ourselves. And when we devalue time, indirectly, we are devaluing ourselves. Right. Wow. And I'll talk a little bit more as we go along.
Yeah, that's very deep. Wow, thanks for sharing your childhood story. That's quite amazing. So from a young age, you already started to see there's something different. Those people that are very successful used their time very preciously, like a currency, you said.
Right.
Wow,
correct.
That's interesting. Yeah. How do you see like the relationship between like time in this industry of real estate? So how do you see that work? How is the value of time there?
So there is this misconception that I must spend more time to make more money. So I want to throw an idea. Why don't you spend more money and make more money and get more time back?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right. So the misconception of I must work very hard, which is important to work hard, but it's the question of how you work hard, right? And I must spend more time in order to equate myself to earn the amount of money. There are success, and I realized that in my journey as a real estate salesperson, when I was down on the ground selling, right, I was caught in that trap. I thought I must do a lot of things. Then I realized actually I got nothing much to do. I do that, nothing much to do. I was actually waiting for people to call me, right?
Oh, I see.
Right. And about it's all about, I must be productive, right? I must spend a lot of time. I must make sure that I'm always ready. I'm always available. And all these are important things. But I think then the question is, there is this season, and everyone has different seasons in life. When you are young, you have more time. And when you are older, when you come to a certain stage, like now I'm in my early 40s. I'm going to be 41 in October.
Thank you for your honesty.
I'm being honest right now, right? And I realize as you age, right, the currency of time becomes very expensive. And a lot of us don't realize that. And I want to throw everyone this question right now. Take your annual income that you are achieving, or the annual income that you aspire to achieve, divide, so assuming it's 100,000 or 200,000, divide it by 12. Then in 1 month, divide by 30, and in 30, divide it by 4, and then in 4, divide it by 50. That's the cost per hour that you are in right now. That's the value of your time per hour. And as you get older, it should get more expensive, right? And the reason why it's more expensive because you are supposed to be better and you have lesser time. You have lesser time. So the question then is, how do we then arrange our time in a way that gives us the fastest return? Now, we always argue, agents always say, hey, tell me, if I spend $500, how many leads do I get? If I spend $100, how many appointments do I get? But nobody asks this question. If I spend an hour mastering this skill, how many more leads do I get? If I spend an hour speaking to someone, or 30 minutes a week speaking to my coach about building my business, getting hold accountable, how much more money would I make? So the mindset, I think there needs to be a shift. Yes, the money part is important, but if you think of time as a currency, then so you should be thinking about, so what is the thing that I'm doing with my time
Yeah.
that will then generate the amount of income or the opportunities that I have that will give me the income that I can. Now, in our business, it's hard to predict the income. You can predict the outcome of activities. You cannot predict volume of sales. Now, you can only predict once you have a certain formula form, like how many leads you get, how many appointments you have, likelihood your conversion is this. Now, you need time to develop that, but we need to think of it that way. It doesn't make sense, Mariah. I'm not sure whether I'm going all over, but if you think of time as a currency, what is the 1 hour of my time doing this equates to what I will get.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the goal is not to do more. The goal is to how can I do less so I can get more. And doing less doesn't mean you are lazy. Doing less meaning you're focusing on things that matter, because at a certain season in your time, you would then have different priorities in life. For example, when you have children,
right,
you have different priorities in life. And I have this perspective. My coach challenged me, my MAPS coach challenged me all the time. He said, how old is your son right now? He's 12. And he told me, think about this, about time with your relationship with your children, right? So time, relationship, and by the way, building relationship, the number one currency is not money, is time. You can buy the flowers, the chocolates, the nice expensive gift, but if you don't have time, relationship don't enrich, right? And he asked me this question, how many more Christmas do you have with your son? So he's 12 right now, assuming at 17, he will go away for studies and all that, and life will change for him. I've got 5 more Christmases with him, 5 more Chinese New Year with him, 5 more school holidays with him, and that's it. And that's very fast, right? And after that, it's different. So when you look at it from that perspective, right, from a business standpoint, it's also in calculating your life, right? Because it's life and business should be one. It cannot be separated, in my opinion, right? So the goal is how can you use the least amount of time to get the highest return.
Yeah.
Right, does that make sense? Yeah,
I really appreciate what you're saying about the currency. I was thinking, you say use money to make money, right? But we will definitely want to make it the most productive it can be, right? You don't want to spend so much to make a little bit, right? So in the same way, how can we make the most use of our time? But before we go into the practicals of all that, you mentioned many times about this mindset. It sounds like even from young you started to have this mindset, but maybe some of us did not grow up with that mindset, right? We didn't have this experience you had. How can maybe you can share what your view of the more common mindset and how people might be able to, how you advise someone to maybe shift their mindset towards time to really see it as so valuable?
That's a great question. So there are a few things that you do with time. Number one, people you spend time with, right? Who do you spend your time with that can help you hit your goal? So that's this thing, right? And there are different goals in life. There's relationship goals. There is productivity and business goals. There's spiritual goals, right? There is entertainment goals that you have. I want to go and climb Mount Everest, right? Like, that's probably Francis Arena. He wants to climb Mount Everest. Like, I don't know, whatever. He's like the sports guy, right? So then you must then ask yourself this question: who do you spend your time with? Like, who are the people that you want to use time with to build relationship to help you hit your goals? So I guess time must be connected with your goals.
Right.
Because if money is connected as a budget, now we should have a training, we should have I don't know how we can do this, but there should be like a spreadsheet of how do you use time? What's the return of time? You track your time, which is very tedious, right? To get the returns that you want. So that's one thing, right? One area, right? The mindset of thinking about who you spend your time with that can help you hit your goal. Right. Then the other thing is, what are some of the things that you have to do to hit your milestones? Now, there are goals, there are milestones to hit your goals. What are some of the things that you have to hit your milestones? And everything has to be time bound. So sometimes we set goals without putting a time bound evaluation. But we put a budget, right? Okay, we're going to spend 10,000 ringgit to hit a $2 million goal. But do we put a time that we must achieve this in 30 days? Right. Because then when you put it that way, you put connection with goal and time, you begin to think very differently, because you begin to focus on the time, the effectiveness of how you want to achieve your goal through the time goal that you set. Now, everyone has their own pace and cadence, right? What is fast to you may be slow to me. What is slow to me may be fast to you. So it's all very depending. And to me, I think that it's very personal. It's up to you how you feel what is fast and slow. For me, I'm intense. Everyone say I'm too fast. I sometimes say I'm too slow. So it's just me, but it's up to everyone. So I think the relationship between your goal and time bound is important, because if you set a goal without a time bound and you are not obsessed with achieving a goal through a certain period of time, then that is where coaching is important. That is where being around people that can help you see that that's important. So example is, do you spend, if you want to really be very good, right, spend time with the top producing agents, ask them and observe them, spend time with them, spend time with people who are obsessed about time. Then you will eventually get sucked into that mindset. Like I am still struggling to spend time with people who are in the fitness area, because I think fitness is my number one issue, right? Even though I lost 8 kilos this year, through my own and through me being ill and through me controlling somewhat what I eat and all that, right? So, but it's about that, right? It's about relationships. It's about aligning your goals with a time-bound perspective. So I think there are some of the things that we can set ourselves up for success by thinking that way.
Right. So I mean, from what you shared, it sounds like for someone who, the first thing is actually to have a goal, to actually know your big why. If you don't even have those big goals, you will just live your life going here and there. You don't really take the time as precious, right? So you set those goals and then you give a time frame to the goal. Then suddenly your time is very precious, right? To try and achieve that thing.
I want to add one more thing.
Okay.
Think about, like, today is the last day that you live. Think about, so there's this great book, I forgot the name of that book. The guy, the last, what is it called? Oh shoot, I forgot the name of that book. The guy that had a pancreatic cancer that wrote a book for his son.
Wow.
I forgot his name. The last speech or last conversation, I can't remember.
I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's about how he chose to live his last 3 or 6 months when he was going through pancreatic cancer, and he wrote a book. And it was to help his family and his children to understand how to live a good life. And he chose to live a life of helping and lifting everybody up through the work that he does. I totally forgot what's the name of the book. If anyone can remember, please put in the chat box. But it was a great book and you can watch him on YouTube. I forgot his name. I forgot the name. But that the way you live your life, that you don't want to postpone anything anymore. What if you are not going to live past this week? How would you behave?
Right.
What if someone tell you today that at the end of this week, you will no longer be on this planet? How would you behave? How would you design your life? What would you do about relationships, right? So when you think that way, you begin to live a more urgent, everything suddenly becomes more focused, right? Because you know that time is of the essence, time is limited. The last lecture, that's right, thank you very much. The last lecture, I would encourage everyone to read the book, watch the videos. Very moving story, very moving concept. Randy Pausch, that's right. So if you behave that way and think that way, suddenly you don't want to postpone anything anymore. Right. Don't wait for the moment where you have really no time and regrets, right? Don't postpone anything. So these are some of the things that I would think will shift our mindset. Sorry, back to you, Mariah.
No, this is great. Yeah, it's actually a very deep topic. I mean, it's not just about setting up a calendar. It's about what is dearest to our hearts and most precious to us, right? And that's the amount of time we have in this world to spend on those items, those things. It's very touching. So yeah, thank you for sharing all that. How would you, so this is about maximizing your time to prioritizing your time to maximize productivity. So how do you see time and productivity, especially in the real estate, in the KW world? Like, what's your understanding of this productivity in KW?
Right. So you start with why. You start with a goal, why you want to do this, and what is the goal that you want to achieve. And then you break it down into pieces, right? Small pieces, yearly, monthly, weekly, daily.
Right.
And then you ask yourself this question: what is that one thing I must do that will give me the highest return to achieve this goal? So for example, today, if I want to take 10 listings every week, right? And I want to price them, I want to price 5 of them correctly. What is it that will help me achieve that? So the challenge is we and the word is called focus.
Mm.
And the word that challenges focus is called distraction. And here's how distraction look like. Oh, that agent is doing all these things. Let me look and see whether that one works for me. Or the agent is doing so many things, and then all these agents doing so many things, right? And we get trapped into trying to do many, many things. But then we lost focus. How many of you like are in this journey where you are so busy, but you realize you're not achieving a lot of things, right? So taking a step back and pause and ask yourself this question: what is it that I must do today in the next 30, 60 minutes that will change the course of my actions, that will give me that kind of results? So constantly asking that question is very critical, and it requires a lot of inspect. You got to inspect what you expect. You got to track and measure what's going on with the thing that you do. Because if it's not working, that you got to change fast. But you cannot do too many things at the same time. And I think this business is not complicated. Only we complicate it, right? And the first thing I always encourage agents is look at your strength. From your strength, start from your strength. Don't start from your weakness. Start from your strength. What is it that you think you are good at, that you can do, that will achieve your goal in the shortest period of time?
Wow.
So ask yourself this question: how can I get on a phone or get on a systematic way that in 1 hour I can achieve 10 appointments? That means I can set 10 appointments. What do you need to do? And you ask that question this way, right? You begin to think differently. You are not looking at other people. Then you say, hey, that agent that actually did 1 hour and got 10 appointments, I go learn from that one.
Right.
So you begin to be clear who you want to learn from. Not everybody, right? Because there's so much noises out there. There's so much things that's happening around us that sometimes we get lost in translation of everything, and we became defocused, right? So if you want, like I like what Christine said, extraordinary results are directly determined by how narrow you can make your focus. So you got to be very clear. And some of us, by default, only got this number of times. Like for example, if I'm a single mother or I'm a mother at home taking care of 3 children, but I want to have a successful business, I only got this amount of time. So go figure out what can I do with 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day. Now, I might be lost. Go look at a model, a role model that is doing 2 hours a day of work and is hitting his or her goals. Go learn from that person.
Right.
So it becomes very clear, right? It becomes very clear. So you got to be very focused, and we are all easily distracted. Trust me, we are all easily distracted.
I think we all know that.
Yeah. So the way I look at distraction is, how can I protect my time? How can I set aside time? Calendaring is the number one thing that protects my time. Right. It helps me realign my priorities. And when I mean calendaring, it's not a day-to-day thing. We should be calendaring for a year. Right. In advance. If it is so important, like lead generation is so important, it should be in your calendar, and you should not allow anything to take over that calendar. Right. So that to me is the perspective, right? It's about focus and finding ways not to be distracted. And distraction comes when we're not clear what we want to achieve. Right. Distraction will come. But when we are clear what you want to achieve, something in your brain is activated because you are very clear. That's my goal. I want to achieve this. There is a sensor in your brain called the reticular sensor. You can Google this, right? It turns on and it begins to look for things that is aligning with what you want to achieve. So it works that way, and then you begin to be attracted to certain things, and certain people say certain words, or there was certain session that you learned certain aha moments. It attracted you. You begin to capture those information that is in alignment with your brain, and it's how the brain works. So go Google reticular sensor in your brain. It activates and it tells you, and it brings you to the calibration of things that matter to you, and you begin to attract those things, and you begin to focus on it, right? So I think this is how I would look at it from a business standpoint. My time, even that's how I do it in my early days of real estate sales. Yeah. So it comes back again to goal. You have to have that goal, and then you break it down, and set up your whole calendar. Okay, on that note, I think it's time for us to do our poll. We have a productivity poll that I prepared for everyone. So if everyone can come back to your screen, if you're not there, we're going to, I'm going to launch this poll. We're going to go through these questions, just 3 questions, okay? And this is anonymous, I assure you. All right, so first question. Are you using Google Calendar to schedule your days?
So yes, no, or maybe you use a different digital calendar. Let's share. Can everyone answer? Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here we go. We got one person answering. Come. Second question, time blocking. Do you set repeating events in your calendar for specific focused activities? So meaning, do you put like, you have a recurring event every day, I will spend 2 hours doing this. Every week, every Monday, I will do this. Every month, I will spend 2 hours doing this. Yeah, maybe you don't use time blocking. Just share honestly. We want to see where is everybody at? And then number 3, on average, how many days per week do you successfully complete your time block? So maybe you set up, right? Every day, 2 hours, I'm going to do some lead generation, but then you keep getting distracted, phone calls coming in and all that. So I would love to hear how many days a week, 1 day, 2 days, 3, 4 days. I'll just give you guys a few minutes to fill that in. It's great. Yeah, come and share. That way, because we're here for each other, right? Like this, we want to help everyone to be the best they can be. So it starts with, we have to have that self-awareness, that honesty, like where is the struggle? Where is the pain point? What is difficult? And if we know that, then we can find solutions to our problem, right? So if everyone can answer this, we can, you can get to know, okay, maybe this is something we need to do training on, or we can do some work on, or we can get some advice from the guru here, Jonathan Lee. All right, we got 45% of people finishing. We still got, anyone else want to join in? Come and answer. What do you think of these questions, John?
I think these are relevant questions. I think calendaring is the first step. It's a easy step. It's a simple step. Time blocking and scheduling monthly, weekly, daily time block. Those are things that you can do today. It's not complicated. It's just you need some time to be focused and decide what is important to you and put it in the time block, right?
Right.
For your life and your business. And I encourage people to do life and business together.
Right.
And on average, and then track how often do you execute and how often do you hold yourself accountable to hit those goals in using those time.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna close the poll. Yeah, we got 60 people. That's really helpful. All right, and we're gonna look at the answers. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, so out of the 61 people that answered, about half are using Google Calendar. Some are not, maybe not using any kind of digital calendar, and then 1/4 using a different, very interesting. Anyone who's using a different digital calendar, do you want to put in the chat which calendar I'm just very curious. What calendars you're all using, if you're open to share. Okay, and then time blocking. So those people, so about 30% do daily time blocks, 30% do something weekly, monthly, 15%, and about 30% are not using time blocking. Do you want to comment on this, Jonathan? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, so for that, again, I am only speaking from my observation with generally a lot of agents, and I have no sight of who is who and what your situation is.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, based on my observation, a lot of people that don't time block is because it's not that they don't want to time block. It's not that they have the ability to time block. Most of the time is because they were not clear what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
They were not clear with their pathway. They're not clear with what they want to achieve. Sometimes it's from what they want to achieve. Some people are clear what they want to achieve, but they don't know what they're supposed to do, what they should be doing, right? And therefore, there is a fear of committing to that time. What if I do this and it doesn't work? Right. And there's the other realm is I'm not sure whether what works or not what. Let me wait and think about things that make sense before I do. But then after they think about it, they realize that, hey, now you're in the first quarter that is ending in 2022. Right. I can't even get myself to remember that we are in 2022. I keep on going back to 2021, right? But actually, we are in 2022 and we are ending the first quarter this month. It's so fast. It just keeps moving. We finished Chinese New Year and Hari Raya is coming up next. Right? Very soon is Christmas. Right. And as time flows by, because we are waiting for the perfect thing to do, the perfect thing to execute. So there are many reasons, and these are the few reasons I think not clear what they need to do, or waiting to do something that is perfect, right? Which doesn't exist. These are the few reasons in my observation, I see that happening.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. So I see people sharing that they use iPhone calendar, Apple calendar, smartphone calendar, MacBook. Okay, good to know. There's other options out there. Hopefully you can still do those. It's easy on the digital calendars, right? To make those repeating events. That's what's nice. Okay, let's look at the third question. On average, how many days per week did you successfully complete the time block? Actually, yeah, it's not some people, there's a few people that really are struggling, it seems, only 0 or 1 to 2 days. But I just want to say, like, 加油, like, honestly, good for you for trying and like putting in the effort. That's awesome. Yeah, did you want to make any comments about this?
So start with something simple that you can achieve. And build on from there. Start with 1 day, 2 days. Start that simple. If changing and it's all about behavior change, right? It's not about perfectioning it. It's about changing the behavior, and changing the behavior requires time over task.
Right.
So start simple.
Yeah.
And right, I give you an example right now.
Yeah. How do you start simple?
I'm trying to set aside time to exercise. Exercise is something I hate.
Okay, perfect.
I really hate exercise. I like playing sport games in a team. I just don't have the time to do it. I like to play badminton. I like to play football. I like to play those things, but I haven't been playing in a long time. The other day, my wife was just cleaning up the house and said, "All your football boots, you got so many boots here. You want to throw away or not?" I said, "No, I want it. No, but I haven't worn it for 5 years or 4 years. I don't know, right?" So here's how I simply make simple small steps, right? Okay. So recently there's a change in my family dynamics. I don't have a maid anymore, and I have a mongrel dog that's fairly big, and he has to do his business outside of the house, which I have to take him out for walks. So then I decided that I'm okay to do it, but I haven't been doing it for the past 3 years because someone else is doing it for me, right? So I decided that that's the time for me to exercise. When I walk him, it's my exercise time. Right. I do it twice a day, right? In the mornings, 6:30, 7 o'clock for about 20 to 30 minutes. And in the evening between 9 to 9:30 for half an hour to 45 minutes. Because I need to make sure that he can relieve himself during these 2 times. So I took a while, and I'd say that that's my exercise. Now I've been achieving this. I started this new routine, I think 2 weeks. This is my 2nd week, I believe. And I have 100% success in achieving it. Wow, right? Great. So I attach it with something that is necessary, that is important. I just don't do it standalone. Now, if you ask, and then the third thing came to my mind. Okay, maybe this is the time I should put on my earbuds and start listening to my classical music that I never had time to listen. So now it's walking my dog, which is a responsibility. It's now going on a walk, probably a walk with my dog for an hour a day, spread into 2 sessions. Yeah. And time for me to listen to my classical music, right? So I put that as a time, it's a default time block. So it's designed in the way that I have to achieve this, because if not, poor Bruce is going to have a problem. Yeah. Right? He's going to have a problem not able to relieve himself. And my wife will have a problem cleaning up what he's being relieved at home. And then I will be in trouble. So get out of trouble, right? So that's how I think we should, simple things like this that you can put in your behavior, right? Great.
But right now I'm having an image now. I'm seeing you walking the dog, and then you're playing the music, and then I'm thinking you should bring your violin and start practicing at the same time.
That'll be weird.
You can be like a Lindsay Sterling.
Right.
Yeah, okay, we can walk cats. That's a great idea. You can try to walk a cat. Right. I just saw something quite funny. I like this. This one is 18 people don't use time blocking for calendar, but only 9 people don't use time blocking in action. That's encouraging. I mean, some people don't put it in the calendar, but they do it. Right. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this and come back to you. All right. Awesome. So, okay. This time blocking thing, I think, this is, I mean, we all know, right? This is in our MREA book. This is part of the KW models, right? To find your one thing, and then you put it every day for like 2 hours, or 1 hour and a half, whatever. You spend that time focusing on your one thing. So I think I'm just imagining, okay, I'm not an agent, right? But I can imagine when you're an agent, you're going to get so many phone calls, like different problems and so much distraction. How do you say no to those things that are not your priority and, not your one thing?
That's a very good question. Saying yes is so easy, saying no is so difficult. I don't know about you guys, right? Oh, one listing coming in, there's an opportunity. One listing coming in, there's an opportunity. One client want to buy something in Batu Gajah, Perak, that's an opportunity, right? And we begin to be distracted. That is why clarity is critical. I have a lot of conversation with agents, and one of the ones that I remember most is this agent who is stuck at the 450,000 range. He is struggling to achieve now. And as I inspect his calendar, on the weekends, he's having 6 to 7 appointments on Saturday and 6 to 7 appointments on Sunday.
Wow.
Now, if you're a real estate agent today or you're a negotiator today, if you have 6, 7 appointments every single weekend, your business should be quite successful. Agree? You are doing very, very well. But the challenge is he's stuck at 450,000 for a few years. And I asked this question, I then dig deeper and ask, what's in the appointment that you're doing? On Sunday, Saturday, I have 3 appointments to show this property at a 2,500 ringgit rental. I asked this question, how many 2,500 ringgit rental that you have to do to achieve $1 million? That's where he wants to go, $1 million ringgit.
Okay.
And when you calculate the math, right, it's like, oh my goodness, that's so much time, so much effort, so much problem. If you do 10 rentals a month as a real estate agent, right, you have to change your phone because your battery runs out every day. They will call you for all kinds of problems. Right? So you have to carry a phone that has unlimited battery because that's a challenge. Now, I'm not saying don't do rental. I'm saying if that is in your goal, great. If it's not helping you hit your goal, stop. So I ask this question, do you still want to live this kind of life to achieve your goal? Say no. Okay, great. What must you do? Start focusing on the bigger ones, which he already is doing. And all these things are actually distracting him from hitting his goal.
Right.
Right? So the question is, you got to say yes to few and no to many, because by saying no, you are helping yourself to be clearly focused on the things that you want to achieve. Fast forward after that conversation in 2019, I still remember. 2020, during a pandemic, it was his best year ever. I think he hit almost close to 750,000. Last year, he was just shy of $1 million. He could have hit $1 million, but one of his transactions was called off. This year, he's now starting back again. So, and all he does is about 7 to 10 transactions a year. Why? Because he's focusing on the right things.
Really?
So the question is, you must understand what you want to become.
Right.
Right? And you have to ask this question by spending, and you have to keep asking this question every time. By spending time on doing this, how is this helping me hit my goal? Now, in my own personal role, in my own personal business in the past, I always worried that I would lose out on opportunity. There's this thing about, I don't know, I mean, is it Malaysian guy, Asian guy? I'm not sure, real estate agent guy. We're very scared of losing opportunity.
Okay.
We are very afraid of losing opportunity. So there's a call will come in. Hey, I'm looking to buy this property here. I know the market value is 2 million, but I'm a serious buyer. I will buy at 900,000. You got any property or not? Now, you know the market value is 2 million, right? And he's asking for 900,000. He's probably looking from a different planet. He's from a different planet. I'm assuming he's from a different planet, right? And then I'm trying to spend my time looking for a 900,000 property for him where it doesn't exist. But we are so afraid to let out. I don't know how many of you understand this experience, how many of you experienced this before, right? The obsession of worry that I will lose opportunity. What if another agent got, and how? Right? So the challenge is you get to know what will help you hit your goal. What if I got 20 clients that is okay to buy at 2 million, but they're not 100% ready yet? Versus a guy that wants to buy 900,000. Which one has a higher chance to help me hit my goal in the short, middle, long term, right? So as an agent, you must think like that. You must learn to let go things that won't help you hit your goal. Listings that are difficult. This owner said, I want to sell at 10 million. Market value is 5 million. Let go, because it's not going to help you hit your goal.
Right.
They're not ready yet, right? So the question is, you need to be able to have courage to say no. And in order for you to say no, you must know the realities of what's going on in the market. You must be the real estate economist of choice in that location, that market, to understand what is a good opportunity and what is a bad opportunity.
Right.
Right. And it is why and there's this thing, this obsession of how can I convince this person to think otherwise? And that's another trap. You can't. And we spend so much time trying to convince that one person to change. while we ourselves don't change. So which is more easier to change, to convince the person to change or to convince ourselves to change? I would think that convincing myself to change is a lot easier and move forward, right? So I think that's how I think as a real estate agent, you should think about time this way. Is talking to this client going to help you? And really, you know, we spend so much time talking to clients. In my early days, my wife always tell me, you can really talk. You really can talk. You really can sit down and talk to the client for 5 hours.
You still can talk, you know, you haven't lost your ability.
But I'm very conscious in these 5 hours as I talk, right? How is it helping me hit my goal?
Yeah.
Then I begin to ask myself, how can I make the conversation more meaningful, more condensed, and straight to the point? And I engage with many high producing agents and also very successful business owners in this country, and even outside the country. And a lot of times, a lot of them don't waste time. They go straight to the point, be clear what they want to achieve, have a conversation that's meaningful, done. Right. Even in a relationship with friends, you can have a meaningful conversation with a limited time. You still can have. It's the way you think about the conversation, right? Right. So I feel that as real estate agent, we first of all need to learn how to say no by understanding what makes us hit our goal. What are the things that help us hit our goal? What's the opportunities that can help us hit our goal, and what is not? And that's a skill, and that is a choice, and it requires time to learn that skill. But trust me, once you learn that skill, you begin to see things very differently. Interesting. Right. I see. So it's about everyone who wants your time, you need to evaluate all those opportunities, evaluate whether it's worth your time, because your time is precious. So you need to know your value. And it comes back to what you were saying, right? If you can value time, you're valuing yourself. Right. So there's this thing about this thing about what is urgent and important. What is important, not urgent. So you need to understand that the urgent and important, everything sometimes seems to be urgent one, but not everything is important. Right. So understanding urgency between importance. If it's urgent and important, probably it needs your attention. If it's important but not urgent, may not need your attention right now. Right. So understanding how to navigate through those thinking. It's a lot of thinking, right? It's a lot of thinking, and it's a lot of but once you are clear in what you want to do, this becomes easier. That's good. Before we go on, I want to invite everyone that's on the call. If you have any questions on this topic, you can start to think about your questions. We're going to have a little Q&A at the end. So start to think what you want to ask Jonathan, you know, about this time blocking, about how to prioritize, how to say no, how to say yes, all that kind of stuff. So just think about it now. I have some more questions for you, John. Okay, so, you know, we set up the calendar, we set up the time blocking and all that. So, you know, let's forget about this distraction thing. Let's just talk about, we're not in the mood to do it. Like, we just don't want to do it. How do we, you know, say yes to that time block, say yes to that important activity, like dealing with those emotions? Like, I'm just curious if any advice for everyone on that, because I'm sure this happens to everybody. You just don't want to do it. You know, how do you motivate yourself and that kind of thing? Right. So one of the fastest and the smartest way to do this is being held accountable. Okay. Having an accountability. I live my business life for a long time with very little accountability. And in my observation, my own personal journey, there were times that I really didn't hold up to what I said I would do. Okay. And it's self-realization. And when I look back, I think nobody was holding me accountable. One day I had a conversation with a CEO, which is my brother-in-law. He runs an insurance company, right? And I asked him, look at my business, tell me what is it that is missing. And I explained to him all these things, all these great ideas, all the stuff that I'm doing. And this is maybe about 8-9 years ago. And I remember this thing he told me. He said, your number one problem is nobody is holding you accountable. He said, I'm the CEO of this company. I'm being held accountable by the board of directors. If I fail, they may not extend my contract. If you fail, what happens to you? Nothing. You move on next year. So ask yourself this question, who is holding? And that's one of the main motivating factors that I decided to move my business into this company when I was running my own business and kind of merge the business together, is because I felt that I needed accountability. And accountability comes in all walks and forms. It could be your own colleagues. It could be your spouse, it could be your friends, it could be the people, your coach and all that. So I have various accountability partners, from spiritual to leadership to business, and my own staff and my own team members, they hold me accountable. So for example, right, every Monday is a management day Monday. Every single Monday of the week, right, my calendar is about all the management meetings. I meet management meetings from my market center level that I'm involved. I meet management meetings from the regional leadership. Even in the regional leadership, there are certain teams that I meet separately on Mondays. So Monday is a non-negotiable. If you call me and say, John, can I meet you Monday at 2 o'clock? Immediately, without thinking, I say, no, you can't. Because this whole, for the next 10 years, it's going to be there. Monday is my until I decide to change it. Until I decide to change it, right? Now, I can quickly show you my Monday calendar. I'm just
okay.
My Monday calendar.
Oh,
right?
guys, this is exciting.
Oh, shoot, why is this over here? Hang on. Right, this is my Monday calendar.
Oh, it's very small, huh? Cannot see.
Very small.
Maybe you just zoom in your.
You see now?
A bit. We can see the blocks. Never mind. It's fine. We can see the blocks.
Right. So,
yeah,
so this is my calendar, and it's pretty much the same on the 14th because I'm having a camp, but pretty much the same on the 21st, the 28th, my 4th.
Right.
It's the same. It's not changing, right? Because it's there, right? It's there. It's there consistently, right? It's there. So the way I look at planning this, right, is that I know Monday cannot lah. Then if you want to meet me on Monday, likely you can't see me. And I have a certain limit, right? I try myself 5:30 to 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock I should stop because I need to have dinner with my family soon, and I'm going to walk Bruce. I need to do my walk about 8:30, 9 o'clock, right? So I know that is time blocked. So I know how to manage it. So when you put it in a certain form in the calendar, you protect the time. If the client wants to meet me today, if really, right, today there's a prospect, right, saying that, hey, John, I want to open a market center with 1,000 agents. Can I see you at 9 o'clock today? I would say no. Because I got to get out these important things first, right? I'm very clear. So I'm very clear with that. And the team around me holds me accountable. Because if I'm wishy-washy, I decided, hey, this Monday I can't make it. I change this Monday to Tuesday, Tuesday change to Monday, Monday change to Wednesday, right? You can do that because during emergency, but it cannot be a frequent thing, right? Those people that work with me know we are fixed in a way that way, right? For certain things because in those meetings for that 1 hour, we're going to make certain key decisions for the week.
Yeah.
Right? So if I delay to Thursday, then who's going to decide, right? So same thing about your time, right? About the way as a real estate agent. I remember as a real estate agent when I started, right? I wake up probably 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. That time, no kids yet, right? And the first thing I do is I normally go to the toilet. As I go to the toilet, before I go to the toilet, I will go out to my apartment door. There will be a star paper. In those days, star paper is still important. And as I inside the toilet, as I'm sitting on my throne, if you may, I will start looking at classified ads.
Okay.
Because in my head, I want to know every single day, am I having the listings that as equal as my competitors? Is my ad still number 1 out there? So in the early morning, my goal was to understand where am I in the market? What's my positioning every single day? Except Sunday, because Sunday there's no classified ads. Monday to Saturdays is like that every single day. I look at it this way. That's my time block. It's only 10 minutes of my time looking at it. And if I don't have those listings, it starts my day by thinking, why am I not having that listing that's advertised this way? Let me go find out right now. I'm very clear that my activities is to do that, right? Because I time block a certain amount of time to get listings. I time block a certain amount of time to follow up my buyers. So the first thing is to know where am I in the market every day. And the market is even more faster today. It's changing even faster today, right? So there's an example of how I would time block into my business when I was doing sales as a real estate agent.
Wow, that's great. Those are some great examples of your experiences and how you try to block your time. Okay, so we know not to try and take you out on Monday for lunch or anything.
That's correct. You can send me lunch. I can still accept one. No worry. Now got Grab, I can send me lunch. You don't take me out, it's okay. You send me lunch. If not, I give you my bank account, I accept cash also.
There you go. There's a workaround. Very cool. Do you have any, before everyone, please put your questions in the chat. We're going to come to that in about 1 minute. Do you, you mentioned, you mentioned, being accountable. You also mentioned about knowing the urgent versus the important. Do you have any resources you would recommend for those who want to take action? They have had this realization that they're not maybe making the most of their time. They want to be more productive. So any resources that you would recommend for them to be more productive? Yeah.
So there are a few things, and few things work for people differently, right? So there's podcasts, there's books, there's videos.
Okay.
In all these three mediums, I would suggest to look at the one thing. There's a podcast called The One Thing. Okay. It helped me a lot in the early stage of running KW because I was trying to understand, like in my head as running business, right? You must do a lot of things to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
I was programmed that way. So I'm also not an alien. I'm just a human being like everyone. I'm programmed in my head because I grew up in a community or culture that you must do more. If you do more, you look like you are smarter and you are better. Okay. Right? And sometimes doing more of a lot of things may not make sense. Doing more of one thing makes sense, right? But it's a concept I cannot understand. So the One Thing podcast or the One Thing book is very important. I try to revisit the One Thing book once a year. Okay. Right, I'm going to enter, but that's the first book. The second one is I'm now in the process of reading, which I think is a amazing book, and it's a mind-blowing book, and it's based on research. It's called Who Not How. Right, you mentioned this. Okay, Who Not How. Yeah. So one of the things to learn to expose ourselves or to help us become better is not the how. We try to focus on the how so much. Right? And we try to achieve our how so much. So I give you an example. If today I want to learn about fitness, I'm going to read all the books, going to watch all the videos, going to try to do everything by myself. Yeah. I will spend probably 50 hours of my time to learn an example. But if I call Francis today, I say, Francis, can you spend 1 hour with me and tell me what's the one thing to do to me, help me lose 5 kilos? That's the who. We know, right? The who, okay. Right. And sometimes I would say, hey, Francis, I'm going to pay you 500 ringgit right now. Can you help me come up with a plan to achieve this goal that I want to achieve in my fitness? Mm-hmm. And if I look back at my per hourly cost, assuming my per hourly cost is 3,000 ringgit an hour, right? Assuming that's my cost. If I spend 50 hours of my time learning to self-learn myself, right? Self-learn myself, 2,000 or 3,000 multiplied by 550, what's the number? 150,000. I just save 150,000 of my time, right, by spending 500 ringgit. That's the way, that's how I see currency, right? Time is a currency, right? How do you use leverage on time? So Who Not How teach me that perspective. Right. Instead of understanding of why who is more important than how. And as you get your business bigger and bigger and bigger, the who becomes more important. The who becomes more critical in running what you're doing. So I give an example right now, running my role. I used to be holding so many things. I hold the growth role, I hold market center leadership role, I also hold a technology role. Technology was a big chunk of my life, and I'm not like a trained technology person, right? I'm a part-time pretender. I pretend to know technology. I pretend to talk about it, but I don't really have the full side. And I don't have the time to focus on it, right? Right. So out came looking for a talent, and Nicholas came along. Now Nicholas come in. Now some of you may not be aware what's happening, but he's creating a lot of stuff that when we launch, you guys are going to be like, wow, in the shortest period of time, you're going to see a lot of enhancement, a lot of tools that's going to be released because he was the who. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Who Not How is a very good book for you to think about. And for those who are like starting in the beginning and the intermediary of your business, right? The who is normally someone that can help you do something. So for example, I'm struggling with managing my database, right? So who can you pay to help you do it? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Why do you think of it that way? Yeah. Why struggle, right? Actually, there's no struggle, right? If you think of time as currency, and if someone helps you manage it and give, and for a fee, right? So for example, if someone is available to set up and enter your whole database for 500 ringgit, to clean everything up and install everything in your system, why don't you pay for it? Mm-hmm. Why not? So that's the who, right? That's the who. Yeah. Who is going to answer my phone call? Who's going to do all this work for me? Why do you leverage? Yeah. So I think Who Not How helps you to think of perspective about time. So these are the two resources. The last one is one podcast that I would encourage everyone to listen. And I listen to it again and again. And it's a podcast by Gary Keller called Think Like a CEO.
Okay.
And I believe everybody who runs a business here today should think like a CEO. Now you might start from a salesperson mindset, which I think is okay. But eventually you want to think like a CEO. You want to think about how you do things, how you use time to do things. So that was one of the resources that I learned. I absolutely learned that. And the next resource is find someone to be a mentor.
Right, right.
Find someone that has achieved certain things at the highest level in this area, and you go ask him, how do you do it? And ask him. Now, if he wants to be paid, if he wants to be compensated, or he wants to be it can be an exchange, right? I help you in this, you help me in that, right? It could be an exchange, right? To go find someone so that you quickly move fast. You move faster into hitting your goal by looking for that person, right? So that's my encouragement. So those are the tools and the things that I think agents can use to help their business.
That's great. So one thing, who, not how, and think like a CEO, and getting a mentor or a coach kind of thing. Right. Yeah, I mean, the main thing I heard you saying is just that as your time becomes more expensive, it makes more sense to hire someone, leverage on another person, pay someone to help you to do that thing. Okay, let's move to the questions. There's two really good questions here. One of them is further up. Anita asks, I'm curious to hear from boss on when he thinks effective time blocking should be done. Beginning of the week or the night before? Yeah, when should what time should time blocking be done?
So to me, anytime works for the activity that you want to achieve. Now you got to understand your own personal life and where you are right now in your life. Some of us can't afford that early morning time. It's okay. And I argue there's no such thing as perfect time. What I argue is that's the perfect attitude about time. I rather focus on the attitude of time, which if I commit this time that is workable in my life daily schedule, I do it. That's more important. So I would focus on time that works for you in your own personal life. Right. And in your own personal life, if you can't let go certain family responsibilities, certain things that you do for your life, your husband, your spouse, your children and all that, right? You shouldn't compromise those things, but you should find things that work for you. And important things should come first. I always agree. I always think that important things should come first, followed by the second, third, fourth important. So you got to ask yourself, what's the most important thing in your business right now? And it changes. So for example, today I am lacking leads. I'm lacking leads for appointment to get listing. So that should be the first thing you do. And you should do it on the first time. You should start doing these activities the early part of the week if you can, because it's the most important thing that you want to get out of the way first, right? Always remember that there's always going to be distraction. There's always going to be changes in life. Life will always hit us with a curveball. There'll be a family emergency. There'll be all kinds of things. So start getting the important things done first. Everything that's important should start at the beginning. Everything that you want to evaluate should start at the end of the week. So you evaluate what has happened at the end of the week, right? So I think that is important. Some of us work at night one. Some of us, for example, for me, right, my time at night is always to think. So sometimes as I walk my dog, I got more time to think. I'm listening to music and I'm thinking. Because in my role, I find that I don't have enough time to think. So at night time is the time I think, and my regional team will sometimes I hope they don't get irritated by me. Sometimes I just leave my thoughts at night. I just put a lot of things at night. It's because that was the time I'm thinking, and I put it there and I tell them, please do not respond. You don't have to respond to this. I'm just putting it here because I'm afraid I lose those thoughts, right? So that means I'm in my thinking mode, and you notice that I will always do a lot of thinking at night, right? And actually in the morning, the daytime, and I have to find out my clients, what's the best time for me to reach the clients in the time that I can afford to. So I will start in the beginning as much as I can. Right. I'm not sure if I answered that question, but start with the beginning of the week with the things that is the most important, that is non-negotiable. So at least you get that done first. Right.
Yeah, it's great. There's another question here that's very deep. I'm going to share it. I think this one's very good. How can I overcome my fear of being accountable to someone and being a disappointment to the accountability partner if I fail? Yeah, this is a very interesting question. So overcoming the fear of being a disappointment to the accountability partner.
Right. This
Yeah.
is a good question. This is a very good question. And I think this is something even I struggle sometimes. But you see, if you really want this very badly, you've got to accept that there's going to be disappointment. It's a self-actualization, self-thinking that I'm okay with disappointment. And how are you going to be okay with disappointment? You begin the end in mind. You ask yourself, what if some of these things I fail? What happens? So come from a point of abundance. My coach always teach me there's two ways we think about life and business, right? You think from the point of lack and you think from a point of abundance. Now, a person that think of point of lack would be like this. Oh, if I fail, I fail, I lose face, I lose this. I don't think I will ever achieve anything in my life. I don't think it's going to work for me. I think this is not the right time for me to do it. I'm not sure. So it comes from that lacking space. Abundance is, hey, if I do this and I manage to achieve one thing out of 10 things, how would that look like for me? That's thinking from abundance. And I encourage everyone to shift your mindset and think from the abundance standpoint. What does it look like if I can achieve this thing despite the disappointment I get? And disappointment and stress is necessary. And you ask yourself, the stress and disappointment I go through, what is the good that it can do for me? That's coming from abundance, right? If I'm stressful, if I'm always going to get disappointed, what is the lesson that I can learn from it? Right? There's no failures, only lessons that I have not yet learned. What is the lessons that I can learn from it? What are the things that I can become better? If you think from that angle, right? Can I be 10% better than I am last year? You know what? Can I be even 1% better than I'm in last year?
Right.
Coming from abundance. So when you come from abundance, fear becomes just a passing thought. It becomes something that you have to learn how to embrace, but the fear of not progressing is even worse. Right? Do you want to progress or you want to stay where you are? Is life going to be like that? And this is where you need to journey with someone, right? And you have to have that, that journey, and you have to have that what do you call that, connection with someone to be able to achieve that, start that behavior. And to me, it's starting it up first. It's a behavior thing. And tell yourself, this is the time that I want to put myself through this. This is a 1 year commitment. This is a 6 months commitment. This is a 2 years. So when I sign up for a MAPS coach, it's a 1 year commitment. Pays money is a commitment, 1 year commitment, right? And when it's time bound, it's from a point of abundance. I believe it's easier to help. Now I'm fearful, and sometimes Thursday morning, when I say I'm shaking, or shoot, man, I say I'm supposed to do something that I didn't do. I'm just like you guys. I'm not a robot. I'm not like a superhuman being. I'm not Marvel heroes or anything like that. I also go through that kind of challenges that I didn't achieve the goal that I want to achieve, right? How do I answer the question, right? So the way my coach asked me is, so what happened? Tell me, right? And I just say I will be transparent with him, because he's going to help me achieve my goal, because he's going to help me see what I have done that I have not done, to remind me. So when you have that accountability thing, that it begin to help you become better. It will feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but as you go through time, you begin to get a little bit more comfortable and you are used to it. And it will always be uncomfortable, but the degree of discomfort will shrink as you progress. And celebrate every single win that you have. Small wins, celebrate the small wins. If I achieve this small thing from doing this, celebrate it, right? That's how I would encourage you to look at overcoming your fear.
So awesome. I was just thinking, you're talking about this, that actually everyone will fail, right? And I took, at our retreat last week, I took a picture. I hope you can see this. This is, Charles with his t-shirt, fail often, fail fast, fail forward. This is the KW slogan. So you're not alone. Actually, we will all fail, right? Even just now on the poll, right? It says, how many of you actually get those 5 days of blocking, right? And only a few, not many can get all 5. Of course, we won't fully get all those days, right? is normal. So you're not alone. We're together. We will slip together, but we will try again together. We won't give up. We're going to keep working to move forward together. Great. Any other? I think that's the end of the questions, and our time is basically done. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Is there any last words you want to share before you go off? Yeah.
I think, Mariah, you brought up a very good point.
Okay.
Throughout this whole conversation today, and I don't know whether everyone caught it or not, is that the way you can do this better, faster, is you do it together. You find that community, you find the people around you that has the same desire, same interest to look at the hill, right? The hill thing, right?
Yeah.
And try to climb the hill together, not by yourself.
Yeah.
The risk of you doing it by yourself is very challenging. Now, I was in that lonely journey for a very long time, and I felt that that was not the one that helped me become the best version. Now that I'm part of this community, I have staff, I have team members. I'm also part of the KW Worldwide community. I talk to all the leadership all around the world, KW Worldwide themselves. There's so much strength when we leverage on one another. There's just so much opportunity for us to overcome and become the best version of ourselves when we are together. So don't do this alone. Don't work on your own. Reach out and if you are strong, and I will say this, those people who are very strong, who are very committed, who are very clear and very aggressive in wanting to hit your goal, you try to help someone else as well. Because by you helping someone else, you are also having the same, you are also pushing yourself to want to achieve it as well. So either be help or help someone, right? Help someone, right? It's okay to fail, because failing is part of life. Avoiding fail, and this is a programming that we have to keep on talking about, right? Because culturally we have been told if you score very low marks, then you failure lah, you cannot lah, you know. So we gotta tell ourselves it's not that way. Life is about failing and learning from the failures that we have. And you do it best together, not one person. So when you sit in a room and you hear, hey, I also have failed. I have personally failed so many times. I mean, you sit down and one day you should ask me, what are some of my failures? I will tell you.
Wow. Okay. Next time.
I will tell you, because to me, right, then everyone will always think, hey, you are like super. I'm not. The only difference that I think that I'm a little bit different, number one, I'm a bit weird and a little bit extreme. And the third thing is I enjoy failure in a good way. I embrace failure. I make peace with failure. And I'm okay if I fail because I move forward, right? And the way I look at failure is not the end of the world. I look at the beginning of something great. When you look at the failure as the end, I look at the failure as the beginning of something that I'm learning to make things better. Your perspective will change. And it's better when you are in a group of people that's thinking the same way, right? That's why community is very important.
Yes,
Being part of a group is very important. And I encourage you, go find your communities, find the people around you. Don't do this alone. When you're alone, it's very difficult. Don't follow my footsteps. One of the biggest failure I think I had was not building a community around me at the early stage of my business. I struggle a lot that time, right? So I encourage you, don't struggle, right? There is a lot of communities, a lot of people around us here. Take advantage of it. Thank you so much, Mariah.
Thank you so much. Just want to thank you so much, Jonathan, for opening up and just sharing your heart with everyone. I agree. Let's really be together and let's do this together. Yeah. Come on, guys. KW for the win. Let's do this. Okay. So now we're just going to move to announcements. So the first announcement is, as usual, we have all of our value stories and touch points. You can share these with your clients, with your friends who are in the industry. Just share how awesome KW is, and let's just continue to reach out to each other. Yeah, and also next week, most of us are going to be at an FSO camp. The regional team are going to be training all the market center leaders. So we won't be having this Winning Money next week. So we'll come back in 2 weeks' time. Thank you all for coming. I wish you a great week, and may your hill and your mountain look small.